Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. And we got a bunch of new stuff for you guys here today. Some new information coming from Hype Performance. Parallel 42 releases a new product, as well as the TBM 850 guide from Overkill's tutorial series is also on the approach. Stick around, guys, because we got all that and much, much more. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, you guys, so first up, the TBM 850 guide for Microsoft Flight Simulator is on the approach. We are probably about 60% complete through the guide. My hopes are to have it wrapped up by no later than Monday or Tuesday. We are moving very, very quickly through this guide. Everything is coming together very nicely so far. Black Square did an absolutely amazing job bringing this aircraft together. We will be doing a full flight starting out in Las Vegas, or excuse me, starting out in San Diego and heading over to Las Vegas. So far the guide is coming together very, very nicely, you guys. If you wish to support this project or any of my other guides, please consider joining me on Patreon, as that's where the guide will be found. First up on our list, Takes Me Home, you guys. This is a very exciting time for me. This is the first ever that I'm aware of in any flight simulation payware version, high fidelity recreation of my hometown here in Tucson. The Tucson International Airport is available through Feel There. A link for this will be down in the description below. I will also be doing a full review video of it coming out either later this evening or first thing tomorrow morning if you guys are interested in checking that as well. But it is very, very well done. The most accurate rendition of my home that I have seen yet. And I was super, super excited. Thank you to the Discord members who pointed this out to me. I was super, super stoked about this, you guys, and jumped all over it. If you guys are interested in flying to the authentic Overkill home, you guys pick this one up, and I promise you guys will not regret it. Everything from taxiway markings to the runway designations, taxi lights, parking spots. The parking spots are extreme. They open up the entire airport. Anywhere that you can really park an aircraft here is opened up in this scenery, as well as even a lot of the old wear and tear that's showing on our ground is definitely modeled with inside of the simulator. You can see cracks in the pavement and things like that, and spots where it's been tarred over 118 times. Just really, really stoked. I was really, really happy to see this, you guys, and I really recommend that you guys pick this one up. Again, a link to it will be down in the description below if you guys are interested to flying to Tucson, Arizona, the home of Overkill. Parallel 42 has released the Juice Goose. Now, a lot of you may be thinking right out of the gate that's what we need, another car in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Well, there's actually a purpose behind this. First off, you guys know that Parallel 42 is no stranger to creating sceneries that go with many of their products, such as the Kit Fox series and their Camp Out series. They create a lot of sceneries that go with their products. They've done the same thing here with the UTV. And the other benefit here is that it's because of the announcement of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. They're sort of getting ahead of the game. First off, we know that Microsoft/Asobo has come out and said that pretty much every add-on that works with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is going to work with 2024. But one of the things they also pointed out with 2024 is that the ground fidelity is going to be significantly better. The ground textures and sceneries are going to be much more accurate to the real world and not quite so choppy and ugly as we have seen in the past, especially in the rural areas. So the UTV's idea behind it is to take advantage of what 2024 is going to be doing, creating a much more authentic ground scenery, therefore creating another aspect to the environment of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I have always been a big advocate of these kind of developments. It's the same thing from the Got Friends Canoe. I think these kind of enhancements, if the scenery is right and if the environment is made for them, hence the scenery that has been custom created from Parallel 42 and many other developers, if that is done correctly, you can actually take advantage of the fact that here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, we can go anywhere in the world using that satellite imagery. So with 2024 on the horizon, and obviously you guys know, coming in August, it's going to be on top of us before we even realize it's happened. Think about how fast the last 3 years have gone by. There's going to be a massive change in what we look at in terms of flight simulation. Microsoft Flight Simulator may not be called Microsoft Flight Simulator anymore. Now, obviously, its primary purpose is and always will be, I'm sure, for many, many years to come, be the introduction and inclusion of flight simulation. But if they stick to their word here, and there truly is a massive change in the ground development, ground textures, and the overall road mapping or mapping of ground vehicles, they could also open the doors to something completely different that we've never seen before, even in multiplayer. Thinking about multiplayer, you got somebody down in the UTV, you got a pack of buddies going around, and all of a sudden a Kit Fox or some other plane flies overhead, and you being in multiplayer, you're the pilot and seeing people tearing tail through the desert. There's a lot of things that can come to this. So I'm actually in full support of this. The UTV comes with 3 different motors to accommodate the any kind of driver that exists within Microsoft Flight Simulator. What you're looking for has different climb performances to help you aid getting over certain rocks and terrain difficulties, as well as, like I said, any of the Parallel 42 sceneries is obviously optimized for something like this particular vehicle. So if you guys are interested in checking this out, be sure to head on over to Parallel 42's website where you can pick this up direct from them. A brief update from Just Flight in the Avro Vulcan. Apparently progress update stated that the aircraft is coming along very, very nicely and things are coming together rather rapidly as full flights are already being completed with this particular aircraft. Texturing on the interior, as you guys can see, has just about been completed with wear and tear in the exact same places as is in the reference aircraft. So the wear and tear that you guys are seeing is wear and tear that exists in real-world aircraft today. The Avro Vulcan will also contain many different navigation features, as well as communication features, such as, for example, IFF and TACAN. Not a whole lot of information was shared on how that's actually going to be implemented, given the fact that TACAN is still something that I believe is relatively rare in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I know there are certain ways to implement it, but it's not something that's popularly used in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'm really excited to see what they do with this. The Avro Vulcan, as you guys know, is basically a giant flying wing. It is a massive aircraft, and I think this one's going to be pretty cool. Just Flight, obviously thinking outside the box here, stepping away from some of the other aircraft they've done recently. But they've definitely not had any bad strikes, in my opinion, from the BA-46 to the PA-28 series, and now coming up here with the Avro Vulcan here. I think this is going to be a great addition to Microsoft Flight Simulator, especially given the fact there's so many warplanes coming to the simulator. It's going to be interesting to see what progresses start happening with some of these warplanes, because there's quite a collection definitely being developed. It'd be kind of neat to schedule some sort of massive air show when all these aircraft start coming to fruition here. But again, the Avro Vulcan is moving along very nicely. Again, repeating that full flights are now being completed with it. So it sounds like that it's on its final runs and testing here. The developers did stay with minor bugs and certain fixes that still need to be implemented. The overall mechanical and electrical function of the aircraft is basically complete. So this should be pretty exciting to see what they do. And I'm very excited to see how they're going to implement the use of TACAN and IFF. IFF especially. For those of you who don't know, IFF stands for Identify Friend or Foe. It is something that is used in military aircraft to determine whether or not another aircraft contact is a friend or foe. So I'm kind of curious if that's something that's going to be implemented or more or less just simulated as a testing purposes or just playing with the control panel. So kind of curious to see where they go with that one as well. Let me know what you guys think. South Oak has bringing a new release to the Microsoft Flight Simulator world, as well as something that I don't believe that has been done by anybody else before. An aircraft-specific effects package. Everything from intake vortices to the wing vortices to wing condensation, flap condensation, the leading edge vortices that happen on the aircraft, as well as things like the water plumes and snow plumes that happens as the engines throttle up on a snowy or wet runway. Now, none of these effects will actually take effect unless the environmental conditions meet a situation in which those effects would actually take place. So they've gone above and beyond there. Rather than just creating random artifacts that can happen on the aircraft, now you get certain things that actually make sense. So they really stepped it up here. Now, one of the really cool things is this one here. I actually had to look it up. This is called the St. Elmo's Fire. St. Elmo's Fire, you guys, is basically the precursor to a lightning strike. It is an incredibly rare phenomenon, but it's something that once seen lets you know that a lightning strike is very imminent. Probably, I would imagine, half a second before it actually happens. So things like this are actually going to be able to be seen from the aircraft of the 747-8i, including the Salty Simulations version, for those of you who might be concerned about that. And this is all available on the sim market through the South Oak release for $7.99, I believe it was, euros. So again, if you guys are interested in checking this out, this is an effect package for the 747-8i. Next up, Hype Performance Group has announced the H160, one of the most advanced helicopters in the world, developed by Airbus. The H160 has a full autopilot 4-axis system, autopilot assisted takeoff, as well as both vertical and rearward. It's got fully animated doors. All the systems are functional. The most advanced helicopter in simulation is what this is really panning out to look like. As you guys know, Hype Performance has done an absolutely amazing job. Everything from the H135 to the H145, many of their add-on tools, such as the mission creator for the H145. This helicopter is something definitely to be excited about. Again, it's looking to be released on October the 27th, and I believe it's going to be right around $40 US, give or take a few here, guys. But this is definitely an aircraft I will be jumping all over and doing a full review on once it comes around the corner here. Now, again, it's going to be very, very complex. All of the systems are going to be fully modeled on it. It's going to have everything from a VRS, the vortex ring state concerns that you're going to have to watch for, as well as all of the cool features that come with it. Vertical or visible vortices and things like that, and downdraft from the helicopter is going to be modeled as well. This is going to be really, really impressive. The H160 has also got a retractable landing gear, which I think just makes it neat for, I don't know why, there's just something about a helicopter with a retractable landing gear that gets my attention. But you guys can see the attention to detail that's definitely been put in, even the biplane tail wing there. That's going to be quite interesting to see what it's like to fly it. Now, I'm actually imagining it's going to be probably pretty simple to fly when it all comes down to it, given the fact that it's such a modern aircraft with all of the bells and whistles of the autopilot system and electronic flight control systems that are going to make it much, much easier to handle. This is a really cool helicopter, though. I'm really excited to get my hands on this one, and Hype Performance Group is the right team to definitely develop this particular bird. Yeah, I'm really stoked about this one. This one just looks cool. I love the screenshots of it. I love the way the rotors are angled. I love that angling right there on the rotors. There's just something about it that just looks wicked. Completely different from most helicopters that you guys will see. It's both luxurious and fast. It's high performing. It's got great low speed maneuvering and handling. This is going to be a really, really awesome development for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So if you guys are interested in rotor heads like myself, this is definitely going to be one that you're going to want to be watching out for. So again, October the 27th is when this is slated to be released. I don't know if you guys remember from a while back, we did a news video on the Skycats Lab CoPilot for the 737. This was the voice-operated, voice-interactive CoPilot for the 737 that follows the basic standard operating procedures from Boeing. So independent company procedures are obviously not going to be particularly accurate with this model. However, this was the one where if you, for example, said good morning to the CoPilot, she said good morning back to you, and a bunch of other very interesting interaction commands that exist with this. It is fully voice automated, so that way you can use nothing but voice commands to both execute and acknowledge particular checklist procedures, as well as you guys can see a fully 3D animation of the CoPilot walking through the particular steps. So it's not like it's just a voice activated where you hear a voice response, but you'll actually be able to see the CoPilot taking the action that you have requested. So for example, if you say landing gear up or gear up, whatever it may be, you're actually going to see her reach forward and lift the gear up. Now, I don't know if it's just the female CoPilot or if they're going to have multiple models of the CoPilot, but this is definitely going to be one that's going to be rather interesting to have on board and should definitely change the immersive experience of the PMDG 737 series of aircraft. Again, it's important to remember that if you are someone who's used to particular company policies and operating procedures, those may vary, as this app is using the basic operating procedures directly from Boeing, is my understanding, if I have that correct. But again, a fully 3D modeled or full voice interaction, full voice execution. The biggest thing is the interaction. I'm really kind of curious to see how it's going to respond to certain things, like I said, like good morning or how are you. You know, if memory serves, serves if you say something silly or dumb, for lack of better terminology. I believe that she'll even give some sarcastic responses back. So I'm kind of curious to get my hands on this one. This will be a fun one. But it is released, you guys. It is out and available. A link to the product will be down in the description below if you guys are interested in checking this out. And we will be doing a full review of it on the channel this coming week. So stay tuned for that. Again, that is the SkyCats Lab 737 PMDG CoPilot. The Octavi IFR1, you guys, is available for pre-order now for a November slated release of the product. I have done multiple reviews and showcases of this product on my channel if you guys are interested in checking those out. Did one just a few days ago. But right now, you guys can go onto the Aerosoft website to purchase this particular product. It will come in, I believe, right around $150 for this, you guys. But it is a great inclusion to your Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane Flight Simulator world if you guys are interested in picking up an awesome autopilot control system. Now, they have deemed it what they have called it, their quote-unquote, the world's smallest cockpit. More accurately, it is the world's smallest autopilot. But it does quite a few other things, such as also checking out things like barometer, your course headings, setting certain frequencies in your radios, or setting the frequencies in your radios, as well as transponders and things like that. So it does far more than just control the autopilot, although the autopilot is definitely the highlight and focus of it. It's definitely focused primarily on things like the GNS 530 or the G1000. Now you can do everything also from creating your flight plan to editing flight plans, setting direct waypoints. You can control your zoom in and zoom out on the MFDs, many of the menu controls on the MFDs through selecting FMS1 or FMS2. It has a ton of functionality with you guys and many profiles that are pre-existent and ready for download. With the inclusion of the MobiFlight software, which is in this particular scenario similar to, think of it as similar to SPAD. SPAD is, they're not the same, but it's got the same principle. MobiFlight acts as a third-party integration between the hardware and the Microsoft Flight Simulator point. And one of the really cool things about this is it allows you to customize and set up the controls to your own liking as well using the MobiFlight software. But again, pre-existing profiles already exist on the Octavi website, so all you have to do is simply download MobiFlight, download the software profiles, and you're up and ready for the races. That is going to wrap up today's episode of news and updates from Microsoft Flight Simulator, guys. I hope you guys continue to enjoy these series. As always, if you are, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It definitely does help me out. And for those of you who are interested in the upcoming guide releases, I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys on the Patreon site. That certainly, beyond belief, helps support the channel, guys, and definitely makes the things that I do possible here. I appreciate all of you, whether you're YouTube subscribers or Patreon supporters, and I hope you guys all, as always, stay safe and healthy.